The South Carolina Hall of Fame was founded in Myrtle Beach in 1973 to recognize and honor contemporary and past citizens who have made outstanding contributions to South Carolina's heritage, history, and progress.
Thomas Dry Howie was born on April 12, 1908, in the historic town of Abbeville, South Carolina. After graduating from high school, Thomas Howie attended the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina, where his leadership skills began to take shape. In 1928, Howie was the Bulldogs' star halfback on the Citadel's football team. In November, the Citadel was playing Clemson. On the same day, Howie was in Columbia for an interview for a Rhodes Scholarship.
He was driven up to Columbia by one of the football coaches, and to their shock and horror, the exam had been pushed back 2 hours, which made it, problematic for him getting back in time for the game. Well, he took the exam, finished. The coach sped back, and this is in a day when there's no interstate coming from Columbia to Charleston, speeding down the back road, Kings Highway, to Charleston. And Tom's in the back of the car changing into his football uniform. They get to the field, slam on the brakes and cloud of dust. Tom hops out, and much to the team's relief, it emboldened the team enough to where they won the game 12-7. Before Tom had got there, they were losing, but he was a demon on the field, bowling over some of the best players that Clemson had.
Thomas Howie graduated from the Citadel in 1929. His senior class named him most versatile, most popular, and best all around. Howie became an English teacher and coach at the Stanton Military Academy in Stanton, Virginia. For 8 years, he was a respected and popular teacher and a mentor to his younger brother, Frank, who was a student at the military academy.
Yeah, my father went there about his second year in high school, and he finished high school there, kind of with his brother as his mentor and his guide. And as my father said, that his brother was a brother figure and a father figure and a best friend figure, all in one to him, and it was really hard on him when he died because of that.
During this time, Thomas Howie met and married Elizabeth Payne in 1932, and their daughter Sally was born in 1938.
I do remember little things. I remember when he would come home in the afternoons from SMA before dinner, and we would play and sing, and we sang When the Caissons Go Rolling Along, and just funny things like that.
Howie joined the Virginia National Guard, and in 1941 was called to active duty with the 116th Infantry Regiment of the United States Army.
He was very competitive. He liked getting into the thick of things and being successful. He was a very caring and loving person, but he also had a drive in his personality. He wanted to be successful, and he wanted to achieve things.
On June 6, 1944, the 116th, part of the 29th Division, landed on Omaha Beach during the D-Day invasion of France.
Omaha Beach was Bloody Omaha. There were 5 beaches: Omaha, Utah, Gold, Juno, and Sword. They all advanced except at Omaha. And at Omaha, everything bogged down. The cliffs were high, the German troops were good, and the casualties were really severe. And among the worst casualties were in his unit, in the 116th RCT. It looked like the whole invasion might bog down right there at Omaha. And it really became a soldier's fight. The command and control structure dissolved, and it really was left up to the individual soldiers, people like him, and who individually and in small groups eventually broke through the German lines and made their way off Omaha Beach.
After surviving the assault, Major Howie was given command of the 3rd Battalion and sent to take the pivotal town of St. Lo.
And the idea was that if you could break through at one point at night, then there could be a spearhead made. And the American reinforcements were rushing up, and eventually this is what happened. They broke through and they got to Saint-Lô, they took the city, and then it was the breakout in Normandy. This whole Normandy campaign became the success that we know that it is today, but it was all stalled at Saint-Lô, and he was instrumental in this one small battalion-scale attack in breaking through.
While talking to the commanding general Charles Gerhardt, Major Howie was heard saying, "See you in Saint-Lô." As he gave the order to attack, a mortar shell exploded a few yards away. A fragment struck Howie in the back. He died after saying, "My God, I'm hit." Major Thomas Howie's death bolstered his men to fight on and eventually defeated the Germans. Major General Gerhardt ordered Howie's body to be driven into the town riding on the hood of a Jeep draped with an American flag, so that he was the first American to enter Saint-Lô, and then placed on the rubble of a church.
If the people that we have labeled the greatest generations think you're one of the greatest, then I think that's a high honor. The fact that they would go to the trouble when bodies were laying all around them to pick up this particular body and to put it on a stretcher and cover it with a flag and make sure that it leads them into town, that's a noteworthy accomplishment. That's a high honor.
Americans came there, they wanted to see him. His soldiers wanted to pay tribute to him. The French people in Saint-Lô wanted to pay tribute to him. And the story was reported in Life magazine and in the New York Times and other newspapers. And he became the hero in America, the fallen hero, the major of Saint-Lô.
Major Thomas Dry Howie is buried at the Normandy American Cemetery and Memorial. The town of Saint-Lô built a monument to Major Howie and still honors him to this day. In 1954, the Citadel erected the Thomas Dry Howie Carillon Tower, containing one of the largest Dutch bell installations in the Western Hemisphere. In his hometown of Abbeville, there is a special monument to Thomas Dry Howie with the inscription, "Dead in France, deathless in fame."
But I think one thing that that it will always stand out in my mind is what he said, it wrote in the letter that everybody's read now.
8 months before attacking Saint-Lô, Major Howie wrote a letter to his daughter Sally about taking command of a battalion and the responsibility of leading his men into battle. He wrote, "It's something like football. Somebody has to play the game. Somebody has to beat the enemy. And all my life, I've tried to make the first team in everything. Sitting on the bench when game time comes is no consolation for weeks of bruising drudgery. And I've been sitting on the bench and training hard for almost 3 years now. Remember what I told you. Sit up straight, look people in the eye, and tell the truth. With all my heart, your daddy." It is rumored that Major Howie is the model for the Tom Hanks character, Captain John Miller, in the 1998 Steven Spielberg film, Saving Private Ryan.
In his day, Major Howie was famous for his leadership, famous for his courage, famous for the sacrifice, famous as the Major of Saint-Lô, whose courage, whose sacrifice played a key role in the American victory in Normandy. And he was a South Carolinian. He was a South Carolinian.
The family is very appreciative, and it's humbling to us that people would still remember and people would do what they do.
It makes me very proud. How could I be fortunate enough to have a father like that?